In today's video we'll be taking a close look at one of the workhorses of the West Coast Mainline, not the Class 390 Pendolino but the Class 350 Desiro built by Siemens between 2004 and 2014. The units were initially used by Central Trains and Silverlink and operated on services from Birmingham to Northampton, Liverpool to Birmingham, and from Milton Keynes and Northampton to London Euston. At the end of 2007, Silverlink was broken up, with Silverlink County services merged with Central Trains to form what became London Midland. The new operator retained all of the Class 350s and ordered an additional 37 units at the beginning of the new franchise. The new units, numbered 350/2, featured 3+2 seating as opposed to 2+2 seating like the previous /1 units. I can understand why at the time 3+2 seating was chosen, as it was likely envisaged that the units would be used on relatively short distance routes such as Milton Keynes or Tring to London Euston, but they now seem to be used regularly on services from Crewe to London Euston, which at 2 hours 20 minutes is a little bit too long in my opinion to be sat on trains with uncomfortable 3+2 seats that were seemingly designed with relatively short commuter routes in mind. Anyway, a further 10 350s were ordered in 2011 and entered service in 2014, and an additional 10 units that were initially used between 2013 and 2019 on Manchester Airport to Glasgow services transferred from Transpennine Express to West Midlands trains between 2019 and 2020. Thankfully these units were ordered with 2+2 seating. The Class 350 is based on Siemens' ubiquitous Desiro platform and is very similar to the Class 450 units that were ordered at the same time to operate on South West train services. The Class 360, Class 444 and Class 185 also come from the same family of trains. The 80 metre long units weigh approximately 175 tonnes and are powered by 8 250 kilowatt motors, providing a total power of 2000 kilowatts or 2680 horsepower. When the units initially entered service, they were limited to operating at 100 miles per hour or 160 kilometers per hour, but in 2011 the units were cleared to operate 110 miles per hour or 176 kilometers per hour between Crewe and Euston by the Trent Valley Line. The LM110 project, as it was called, sought to test whether or not the units could operate at 110 miles per hour on the West Coast Mainline. The project saw onboard computers reprogrammed and enhancements made to the suspension to improve the ride quality. The resulting speed increase meant that London Midland, as it was then, could operate a further 3 morning peak services into London Euston and provide a much quicker service from Crewe to London. On board, the Class 350s for the most part are comfortable and quiet, except for the /2s mentioned previously, which have the 2+3 seating, which in my opinion are not comfortable at all, but generally the other ones with 2+2 seating do seem to be quite comfortable. When the trains were first introduced, they didn't have sockets for charging or Wi-Fi. However, in 2019, West Midlands trains did introduce Wi-Fi, and sockets are now being fitted to the units that the operator intends to retain. The units being kept by West Midlands trains are currently undergoing refreshment that will see new seat covers fitted and the aforementioned sockets. Thankfully, the 350/2s are set to be dispensed with once the new Class 730s enter service. These units are based on the same Aventra family of train as the Class 345 that we looked at in last week's video. The /1, 3 and 4s are being retained by West Midlands trains and will continue to operate on London Northwestern Railway services from Crewe and Birmingham New Street to London Euston. The standard class seats on the refreshed units do seem comfortable enough, and I didn't have any complaints on the 2 hour 20 minute trip from Crewe to Euston that I took a few weeks ago. The seating in the small first class compartment doesn't appear to have any additional padding when compared to the standard class seats, but do have the addition of a headrest. The first class compartment, which only has 24 seats, is separate from the standard class area, so in theory should be a little more quiet. A handy tip for when travelling via standard class is to try and head to the seating located between the first class accommodation and the end of the carriage, as there's only a handful of seats in that area, so it can often be a little bit quieter. Each 4-car train features one disabled access toilet and one non-PRM compliant toilet, and all of the 350s have air conditioning. The units do have some table seats, but the majority are airline style seats, and in one of the middle carriages I only counted 4 tables, which does seem a little bit of a shame, as people tend to much prefer sitting at tables, especially those travelling in groups. Despite the fact that the first units to enter service are now approaching 20 years old, they still seem modern and will continue to be the workhorses of the West Coast Mainline for at least another 10 years, which isn't such a bad thing. So there we are, that's the Class 350 Desiro. I hope you found this video informative. If you have, please do hit that like button, drop a comment and consider subscribing, it really would help the channel grow and be appreciated. But I'm going to leave it there for today. Say until next time, bye bye.